It was Halloween night in a small town. The streets were alive with children dressed as witches, vampires, and superheroes. Pumpkins with glowing faces smiled from porches, and the cold wind carried the sound of laughter and crunching leaves. Everyone was busy celebrating. But at the far edge of the town stood an old house, a place no one dared to enter. People called it the Hollow House. For years, rumors spread about strange sounds inside. Sometimes neighbors swore they saw flickering lights moving in the windows. Sometimes they heard whispers even when the wind was still. But on this Halloween night, 5 friends decided to test their courage. They wanted something scarier than candy and games. They wanted a story no one else could tell. The group was made up of Emma, David, Sarah, Mark, and Liam. They were young but brave, or at least they pretended to be. Laughing, they walked through the fog toward the Hollow House. The closer they got, the colder the air became. Their laughter grew quieter, replaced by nervous glances. The house looked older than time itself, with broken windows and a roof that sagged like tired shoulders. When they stepped onto the porch, the wood groaned beneath their feet. Sarah whispered that they should go back, but Emma, the boldest, pushed the door. It creaked open with a long moan. The inside smelled of dust and rotten wood. A single candle flickered in the hallway, though no one had placed it there. "Someone's messing with us," Mark said, trying to sound brave, but his voice shook. They walked inside, every step echoing louder than it should. The walls were covered in faded wallpaper, but scratched into it were strange marks. They looked like letters, but not from any language they knew. Emma traced one with her finger, and the candle flame grew higher, casting long shadows across the hallway. Suddenly, a whisper filled the air. It was soft at first, like the sigh of the wind. Then it grew louder, until they could almost make out the words. David leaned closer, his heart pounding. The whisper said, "Knock, and we will answer." The group froze. No one moved. The candle flickered again, and the words appeared on the wall, carved deep into the wood. "To the one who knocks on Halloween, we will answer." Liam laughed nervously. "It's just a prank. Maybe some kids did this." But even he didn't believe it. His hands shook as he pulled his jacket tighter. Emma stepped forward. Her eyes burned with curiosity. She raised her hand and knocked 3 times against the wall. The sound echoed, too deep, like she was knocking on a hollow cave instead of solid wood. The ground trembled, dust fell from the ceiling, and the wall began to crack. From the cracks poured out a thin smoke, twisting and curling like fingers reaching for them. The whisper returned, louder now. "We are here." The friends backed away, but the door slammed shut behind them. The hallway stretched longer than before, as if the house itself was alive. Shadows crawled across the walls, moving against the candlelight. Then they saw it. At the end of the hallway, something began to form out of the smoke. It had a shape almost human, but its face was smooth, like a mask. Its body shimmered as if it were made of liquid metal. It tilted its head, and the sound of many voices spoke at once. "You knocked, now we answer." The friends huddled together, their fear growing with every second. The Hollow House was no longer just a haunted place. It was a door that should have stayed closed, and tonight they had opened it. It grew thicker, filling the hallway like a living thing. It crawled across the floor and wrapped around their legs. Cold as ice, the friends coughed and waved their hands. But the smoke would not go away. It seemed to breathe, rising and falling like it had lungs of its own. The figure at the end of the hallway stepped forward. Its feet did not touch the ground. It floated, each movement too smooth, too unnatural. The candle flame bent toward it, as if pulled by invisible strings. The mask-like face tilted, and though it had no eyes, they all felt watched. "What is that?" Sarah whispered. Her voice cracked, but no answer came. Instead, the wall behind the figure shook. The cracks spread wider, and a sound like thunder rolled through the house. The wood splintered, and slowly, impossibly, a door formed where the cracks had been. But it was not a normal door. Its edges were black smoke, its frame alive with twisting shapes. Beyond it, only darkness stretched, too deep, too endless. The figure turned its head toward the door, then back to them. The many voices spoke again. "You knocked. The door has heard. The door has opened." Emma swallowed hard. Her courage was fading, yet something inside her wanted to know more. "What's through that door?" she asked. The voices replied, "A world you left behind, a world that remembers you, a world that feeds when the veil is thin." The words made no sense, but the weight of them pressed down like stone. The group's hearts pounded faster. Mark shook his head. "This is insane. It's some kind of trick, some projector or something." He reached for the door handle. If it could be called a handle, his fingers sank into the smoke as if it were liquid. For a second he felt nothing. Then a shock like lightning raced through his arm. He screamed and pulled back. His skin was burned with strange symbols, glowing faintly red. The door pulsed like a heartbeat. The whispers rose higher, chanting in a language none of them knew. The house groaned as if alive. Dust rained down from the ceiling, and the floorboards shook. Liam grabbed Emma's arm. "We need to get out of here now." But the front door was gone. Behind them was only more hallway, stretching longer and longer. No matter which way they looked, the house shifted, trapping them inside. The figure drifted closer. The air grew colder. Their breath turned white. The voices said, "Halloween is the only night we cross. Tonight you called us. Tonight we answer." Sarah sobbed, covering her face. David tried to pull her close, but his own hands shook too hard. Suddenly, the figure raised its hand. From the smoke, faces appeared, dozens of them, floating like masks in the air. Some were old, some young, some twisted in screams, others frozen in silence. The friends realized they were not the first. Others had come before, others had knocked. Emma's eyes widened. She whispered, "They're human." The faces stared back, their empty eyes following every move. A low moan filled the hallway, rising into a scream that shook the walls. The door yawned wider, and something moved in the dark beyond it, a shadow larger than the house itself, shifting, restless, hungry. The figure pointed at them. The voices boomed, "Choose, one must cross, or all will be taken." The friends stood frozen, the smoke curling tighter around them. The figure's mask-like face tilted again, and this time the voices spoke softer, almost gentle. "The door is hungry. It will take one, but one can choose." Emma's heart pounded in her chest. She looked at her friends, at their wide eyes and pale faces. The thought of choosing who would go through made her stomach twist. Mark stepped back, shaking his head. "This is crazy. It's not real. It's a trick." But his voice broke, and his legs trembled. The figure drifted closer. The faces floating in the smoke circled around them, whispering. Their whispers were not in words, but in feelings: fear, pain, despair. Then Emma noticed something. In the cracked mirror hanging on the hallway wall, she saw herself, but her reflection looked wrong. Her face was blurred, fading like smoke. She gasped and pointed, "Look at the mirror." Everyone turned, and horror filled their eyes. Each reflection was vanishing, piece by piece. Sarah's mouth was gone in her reflection. David's eyes had turned black voids. Liam's whole face was fading, leaving only a shadow. The figure lifted its hand again, and the whispers grew louder. "We collect faces. We wear them. We become them." The smoke shifted, and for the first time, the figure's smooth mask twisted. A human nose appeared, then lips, then eyes. But they were not its own. They belonged to someone else, someone who had once stood here before them. The being wore stolen faces like costumes. Sarah screamed and stumbled backward. Her reflection was gone completely now. The mirror showed only an empty outline where she stood. She covered her face with her hands. But the truth was clear. The alien mask had taken her reflection. The figure turned its stolen face toward her, and she felt her breath vanish. Her body grew weak, as if the mirror itself was stealing her life. David grabbed her shoulders, shaking her. "Stay with me, Sarah, stay with me." The voices spoke again. "We feed on fear, but courage makes us weak. Show courage, and the mask will break." Emma clenched her fists, forcing herself to breathe. Her fear was strong, but the thought of losing her friends was stronger. She stepped in front of the figure, her voice shaking. "You don't scare me." The figure paused, tilting its head. The many voices went silent. For a moment, the candlelight flickered brighter. The smoke seemed to pull back slightly. Mark shouted, "Emma, don't, it'll kill you." But she stood her ground, staring at the figure's stolen face. The silence was broken by a sudden scream. It wasn't Sarah, or David, or Liam. It came from the wall itself. The shadows writhed, and the stolen faces twisted, pressing outward like trapped souls. Their mouths moved in soundless pleas. Then, without warning, the hallway shifted again. The door of smoke pulsed like a heartbeat, and the figure's body flickered. For just an instant, beneath the mask of human features, something else appeared. Sharp, endless, alien. Its form was not made of flesh, but of shifting patterns, as if the stars themselves had melted into its skin. Emma stumbled back, her courage cracking. She realized this was no ghost, no demon. This was something not of Earth, something that visited only when the veil of Halloween grew thin. The voices returned, louder than before. Choose, or the door will feed. Choose, or none will leave. The friends huddled together, trembling. The reflections in the mirror were almost gone, their own faces slipping away into the alien mask, and the door, dark and endless, waited with hunger. The hallway grew colder. The friends huddled close, but their fear made them weak. The mirror on the wall was almost empty now, their faces fading until only shadows remained. The figure drifted nearer, its stolen mask shifting, its many voices chanting. Choose, or all will be taken. David's hands shook as he held Sarah, his voice cracked. We can't choose one of us. But the truth was heavy. If no one chose, the door would claim them all. Mark's eyes darted from friend to friend. His chest heaved with panic. He had always been the loudest, the one who laughed at danger. But now he was the weakest. His fear twisted into something darker. Suddenly, he shoved Emma aside. His voice rose, trembling. Take her. Take Emma. She knocked. She brought us here. She deserves it. His words echoed like knives in the smoke-filled air. Emma fell hard to the floor. Shock and pain filled her eyes. She couldn't believe what she had just heard. The figure tilted its head, the mask stretching into something almost like a smile. The voices rippled with amusement. Betrayal. Always the same. The weak offer the strong offer the weak. Sarah screamed at Mark. How could you? She's our friend. But Mark's face was pale and wet with sweat. His hands shook as he pointed again. Take her, not me. I don't want to die. The figure floated closer to him. The stolen faces in the smoke turned toward Mark. Their mouths stretched wide in silent laughter. The voices said, Betrayal feeds us best. Before Mark could move, the smoke shot forward like claws, wrapping around his body. He screamed, thrashing wildly. His reflection in the mirror reappeared, but it twisted into something monstrous. His face stretched long, his mouth locked in an endless scream. His body was pulled against the wall, sinking into the shadows. His final cry echoed as the wall swallowed him whole, leaving only his distorted face pressed into the wood. His eyes blinked, still alive, forever trapped. The figure whispered, One has chosen, the betrayer has been taken. The others clung together, Sarah sobbing into David's chest, Emma rising slowly, her eyes burning not with fear, but with fury. Mark's betrayal cut her deeper than the alien threat. She whispered, We can't let it win, not like this. Liam nodded, his voice low. It feeds on fear, that's what it said. We have to fight it. We have to stop being afraid. But the figure drifted closer again, its mask twisting through faces, Emma's, Sarah's, David's, Liam's. Each one flickered across its smooth surface, the voices layered together. Courage is thin, fear is strong. Fear will always win. The door behind it pulsed, wider now, the shadow beyond pressed against the frame, like something huge trying to step through. The ground shook, dust falling from the ceiling. The house moaned like it was alive. Emma clenched her fists. Her voice trembled, but her eyes stayed firm. You don't control us. You only control our fear. The figure paused, tilting its head. The candle flame grew tall. The whispers faltered for a heartbeat. The house shook like thunder was trapped inside its walls. The door of smoke pulsed wider. The figure's stolen faces stared at them, and the voices repeated, Choose, or all will be taken. Emma's chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. She knew they could not survive by giving in. They had to find another way. Her eyes scanned the hallway until they landed on an old object half buried in dust. It was a radio, cracked, covered in cobwebs, but still faintly glowing. She rushed to it and brushed away the dust. Her friends stared in disbelief. "That won't work," Liam muttered. "It's ancient." But Emma twisted the knob, and to their shock, the radio came alive with static. Through the crackling noise came voices, human voices, clear and sharp. "Test flight Echo 1, scanning perimeter, altitude holding." Emma's heart leapt. It was not just static, it was a signal. She grabbed the radio's side and shouted into it. "Help us, please, we're trapped. The hollow house. The door is open." Her voice echoed through the static. There was silence, then a firm voice responded. "Unidentified signal. Repeat your location." Emma repeated, her hands shaking. The figure turned sharply. The smoke hissed. The voices around it grew harsh. "No, not them. Not the Sky Warriors." The friends looked at each other, confused. The alien mask had spoken in fear for the first time. Sarah whispered, "Sky Warriors? What does it mean?" Outside, the night sky roared. A shadow passed across the windows. The sound of jet engines split the silence. And then, a sharp flash of silver wings. Two F-22 fighter jets streaked across the sky above the town. Emma's voice trembled with hope. "They heard us." But the figure hissed louder. Its stolen faces twisted in rage. The walls shook, and the door flared wide. The shadow beyond pressed harder, clawing at the frame to break through. The alien mask turned its gaze toward the sky, and in many voices it roared. "They remember me. I remember them." The jets circled above, their comms bursting through the radio. Signal locked. Hollow house location confirmed. "What the hell is that energy spike?" The friends backed against the wall as the figure grew taller. Its mask stretched and warped, shifting through hundreds of human faces in seconds. Emma realized it was preparing to fight. Not them, but the pilots above. Liam's voice cracked. "It knows them. It knows the military." The alien raised its hand, and the smoke outside twisted, climbing upward like dark tendrils toward the sky. The jets dodged, banking hard. One pilot's voice shouted, "Contact. Evasive maneuvers. This thing isn't from Earth." The friends' fear turned into something else. They weren't alone anymore. Humans from above had answered their call. Humanity had stepped into the fight. The figure screamed, "The sky cannot stop us. The door is open, and the feast begins." Emma tightened her grip on the radio, her voice steady this time. "You don't control this night anymore. We do." The jets roared closer, dropping flares that lit up the house like daylight. The walls groaned, the shadows writhed, and the alien mask trembled as the human signal grew stronger. For the first time, the hollow house itself seemed afraid. The hollow house shook as if the sky itself had struck it. The sound of the jets thundered outside. But inside, the nightmare only grew worse. The alien mask spread its smoke wider, sealing every window and door. The air grew heavier, choking. The friends tried to move toward the front hall, but the floor stretched beneath their feet. The house twisted like a maze. Hallways stretched endlessly. Doors led back to the same rooms. It was like the alien controlled the very bones of the house. Suddenly, a laugh echoed, not from any of them, but from the shadows, a cruel, echoing laugh that rose and fell. The voices of the alien whispered in unison, "Run, hide, scream. It will not matter. We hunt. You are prey." The hallway lights flickered. Pumpkins carved with smiling faces appeared where there had been none before, but their smiles dripped red. Their eyes rolled like living things. One pumpkin burst open, spilling worms that crawled toward Sarah's shoes. She screamed and kicked them away. David pulled her along. But the house shifted again. Costumes dangled from the ceiling. Empty suits of monsters, witches, and skeletons. But as the friends passed, the costumes twitched, then lunged, wrapping around them like real flesh. Emma slashed at one with a broken piece of wood, and it dissolved into smoke, but more came. "Don't look at them," Liam shouted. "They're illusions. They feed when we believe." His voice shook, but he forced himself to keep his eyes on the ground. Still, the fear crawled inside them. The alien mask was everywhere. Its voice whispered from every wall, "Your courage is thin. Your fear is sweet." A door slammed shut behind them, trapping them in a narrow hallway. The mirror appeared again, stretching across the wall. This time it did not show fading faces. It showed them running, tripping, dying one by one. Emma stared at her reflection, watching herself fall with blood across her face. Her stomach turned cold. "No, that's not real," she whispered, but her reflection smiled back, whispering, "It will be." The smoke thickened, and the alien's form slid out of the shadows. Its stolen faces flickered, one after another. It grew larger, its voice louder. "Run if you wish, but every step is mine. Every breath is mine. This house is mine." The friends pressed together, trembling, but Emma clenched the broken wood in her hand. Her voice cracked but steady. "No, you said courage makes you weak. You can twist the house, but you can't twist us. Not if we fight." The alien tilted its head. The house shook again, trying to drown her words. Pumpkins exploded, shadows stretched, screams echoed from the walls. But Emma's eyes stayed locked on the figure, refusing to look away. Outside, the jets roared low, their engines rattling the windows. The alien snarled. Its smoke hissed. It wanted to break their courage before the sky warriors could strike. The friends stood in the flickering hallway, surrounded by illusions, monsters, and shadows. The choice was clear. They could cower and be prey, or they could face the hunter head-on. And for the first time, Emma stepped forward, whispering, "We are not your prey." The candle flame rose, and the alien mask faltered, if only for a heartbeat. The hollow house groaned like it was alive. The smoke from the alien mask curled high into the ceiling. The door of shadows pulsed wide. The creature's many stolen faces screamed in unison. The feast begins. The friends pressed against the shaking wall. The jets roared outside, dropping more flares. The sky warriors were circling, but they could not see the nightmare inside. Only the humans trapped within could end it. Emma clutched the broken wood in her hand, her voice steady now. "We can close it. It started with a knock. Maybe it can end with a knock." Liam's eyes widened. "You think that will work?" She nodded, though her hands shook. "We don't have a choice." The alien mask hissed, its form flickering through Emma's face, Sarah's face, David's face. It pointed a long hand at them, its many voices roaring. "You cannot undo the door. It is open. It is forever." But Emma stepped forward, her legs weak but her eyes burning. She raised her fist to the wall, the same place she had knocked before. The alien lunged, smoke racing toward her like claws, but David grabbed a fallen chair and swung it through the smoke, shouting, "Go, Emma!" Sarah clung to his arm, pulling him back before the smoke could swallow him whole. Emma slammed her fist against the wall once, twice, 3 times. The sound echoed like thunder in a cave. The door shuddered. The smoke twisted. The alien mask shrieked. "No!" The shadows in the door writhed. A monstrous hand of darkness pushed forward, but the jets outside roared closer. The sound of engines filled the house, and the radio crackled again. "We see the surge. Hold on." Emma struck the wall one last time. The crackling would burst with light. A blinding flash swallowed the hallway. The door screamed as if it were alive. The alien mask shattered, its stolen faces tearing apart, each one screaming before fading like smoke in the wind. The house shook violently. Dust and wood rained from above. The walls twisted back to their original size. The endless hallways snapped shut. The illusions dissolved. The pumpkins vanished. The shadows peeled away. The door shrank, folding into nothingness. With a final shriek, the alien mask was pulled back into the darkness, its voice fading. "Halloween, we will return." And then the hollow house fell silent. The friends collapsed together on the dusty floor. Their faces slowly reappeared in the cracked mirror, pale but whole again. Mark's distorted face was gone from the wall. Only silence remained. Outside, the jets circled once more. The radio hissed. "Energy spike gone. Are you still there?" Emma lifted the radio with shaking hands. "We're here," she whispered. "It's over." The candle flickered once, then died. The house was dark, quiet, empty. The friends staggered out into the cold night air. The stars above were bright, the jets glinting silver as they disappeared into the distance. Halloween laughter drifted from the town nearby, as if nothing had happened.